What's going on, Whiskey fam? We are going to get into some rye tonight. That's right, some Heaven Hill, grain to glass rye to be exact. And, you know, when it's hot out there, you want to get into some rye to match that heat. And boy, some are feeling it a little bit more than others. Here in New Mexico, you definitely feel the heat. It's August, man, and I cannot wait for it to cool down. But before I jump into this, a big quick shout out to Joseph San Nicolas, who let me borrow this just so I could get into some tasting notes with all of you guys and share my thoughts and opinions on this. This is, like I said, a Heaven Hill bottling. 61.6% is the percent. Alcohol, this is a 2024 release. I believe it's a 7-year. It did say it's distilled in 2017 and released 2024. I'm going to assume it's a 7-year, so don't get mad at me if it ain't quite just 7-year. It's a 63% rye mash bill with 24% corn and 13% malt. So there's a good high amount of malt. You know, some of you guys that get into these ryes usually don't see that high a level of malt. Usually there's some corn, or it might even be a little higher in the rye department. Man, I'm eager to get into this because let's just say I'm a proof hound and I like things high proof. So when Joseph let me borrow this, I was super excited. I'm always really excited to get into stuff that he has to have me try. He's a good dude. Joe's a good dude. All right, so let's get into this, shall we? Color, man, a good copper burnt orange color to it. You know, it's got some viscosity to it, as it should. It's high proof. Yeah, definitely showing off some beads. Not a lot of legs, but definitely some thick beads along the glass. So let's see what we have in store here. On the nose, ooh, rye, definitely a rye. You know, this time of year, I in particular enjoy ryes. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. Anybody else like some ryes? I mean, who doesn't like a rye? It's a sweet rye, so a good amount of honey, some herbaceousness is definitely coming through. Lots and lots of cinnamon. Some clove, light amount of clove though. But for a rye, you get anise, a lot of black licorice happening here in this glass, but it does, like I said, feel sweet. So I'm also getting like toffee, a slight amount of vanilla. Candy corn, if that's something you guys get from time to time, let me know. Wow, candy corn. Okay. And there's not really even like an overwhelming amount of corn, so that's interesting. But it's sweet. I would say between candy corn and cream corn. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So for you guys that may not know about Heaven Hill, based in Kentucky, and a lot of their products tend to be bold and spicy. You guys might know Heaven Hill, or you gravitate to Heaven Hill. You know, if you're an Elijah Craig fan, a Larceny fan, you know, if you like Old Fitz, that's kind of where your head is at. This is something you like. Now, Heaven Hill has been releasing these grain to glass bottlings, which I certainly appreciate and I like. I personally like especially that I can find them on the shelf. So you too might be able to get this in your area. You know, distribution can be a little, you know, weird sometimes, but you know, here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, man, we've been seeing these. So thank goodness, right? Even if we take a while to get the good stuff. But let's go ahead and jump into this. So cheers to all of you guys watching. Okay. This is delicious. This is delicious, and this is rye forward all day. Wow. Lots of black licorice, lots of anise, cinnamon, but it is very sweet. Wow, I'm surprised. Like, it's sticky, thick, a good amount of viscosity. So it's not just, you know, not just sweet. It like kind of hangs on to the palate, which I really like. Cloves come back. This is a rye that I think Wow, those of you guys that like them high proof and you definitely want something that's for sure a rye, you want to get this. Now, what do I mean by all that? I come across ryes that kind of lose their personality in some of the barreling and some of the secondary finishes that you come across. This almost reminds me of like a double oak rye because of how sweet and full bodied it is. There's some oak tannins that are soft, very nice and soft. They're not harsh in any way. I like that. There's also a suede leather thing happening there, but I'm gonna get right back into this. This is delicious. So if you guys are wondering if this is good or not, yeah, it's good. So let's get into this a little bit more. Mm, mm-hmm, mm. Wow. Oh, yeah, it's herbal, it's floral. Man, I like it. I like it a lot. There's a light amount of cayenne pepper and it's warming. And like I said, it hangs on to the palate. I really like that. It feels full bodied for sure. Um, but I like that for being high proof, it actually drinks closer to like 100 proof. It's not, man, if you're a proof hound, you're going to like that it hangs on to the palate and gives you a long hug, but it doesn't really bring like this heat. It doesn't really like kind of blow out your palate, right? And some of these high proof bottles can do that. This for sure feels balanced. There's a nice long finish that's more on the herbal side and the floral side. This, like I said, this licorice note that's kind of happening. There's some ginger spice also happening here. I like that too. So it's not fruity like some ryes can be. I mean, there's like a light touch of citrus, very light touch, but I wouldn't even call this a fruity type of a rye. It's just enough to be noticeable and just kind of add to the conversation. But I'm gonna have one more sip and let you know who I feel this speaks to the most. So cheers one more time. Hmm. Wow. Okay, so now those return sips are really starting to like sparkle a little bit. There's a sun tea element to all this. I was noticing it, but sometimes when you get into a rye, some of these things that you initially pick up quickly fade away and they almost like disappear. Not with this. There's a sun tea note that really hangs on and it sticks around and it's kind of part of the overall dialogue, right? It's part of everything that's about this bottle, what's in this glass, and I really, really enjoy that. I feel like it adds a little bit of depth in the complexity that you kind of expect with a rye. I really think that for those of you that like to make, cocktails, this may be one that you want to actually play around with and add this rye to it. An old fashioned Manhattan. Man, I honestly think you could just enjoy this with a couple of hard rocks and call it a day if you really need to put something in it or with it. Yeah, but honestly, this is very much enjoyed all by itself. Kudos to Heaven Hill for making a great rye. And thank you, Joe, for letting me try it. Honestly, I feel like this speaks to the whiskey curious, and here's where I'm going with this. There's a lot of ryes that are out there in the market, a lot of Kentucky ryes too. But what I like is this concept of grain to glass, right? And a lot of folks are kind of missing the mark when it comes to, say, craft rye, craft whiskey. They want to be craft, but when you taste it, it doesn't. There's almost like an authenticity that's missing from it. There is something very original and unique that I get from drinking this rye. I do get a sense that, man, they did all the right things to make this happen. And I think those of you guys that are kind of looking for that authenticity will certainly like gravitate to this bottle. And that's why I feel like those that are curious for the things that are just kind of a little bit more than just what you can just find on the shelf every day will really like this bottle especially. It's high proof, like I said. The taste itself is really charming too. Like as a rye, you get some boldness, you get the spiciness, but you also get a sweetness and a level of complexity that I think you're really going to enjoy. MSRP is about, I want to say $80 to $90. It shouldn't break the bank. Okay, it's a little bit more than what you probably will spend for an everyday shelf rye, but you're going to get your money's worth. And I think that you'd be wise to get this bottle. Hopefully you enjoyed my whiskey review, my thoughts. Joe, thank you so much for letting me borrow this bottle. I certainly appreciate you, sir. And if you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing. Hit that like button. Let me know that you enjoyed the video. Show me some love. And consider becoming a Patreon. We are going to be having our 6-year anniversary coming up in October. So those of you that are Patreons will be invited for sure. And we're going to have some fun. So like I said, thank you all for sticking around and showing me some love. And I appreciate the support. Here at Whiskey One, it's about the one you enjoy. Cheers.